So, Mr. James, Ms. Uche will be asking you some questions after now, a couple of questions, and he's a student of the Africa Digital Skill Up program, and he has done a couple of courses from ranging from Power BI to Python to MySQL to Microsoft Excel, and all of these courses are somehow pointed towards data analysis. So, Mr. Uche will be asking you questions on how he can drive, his career path further from now. What are the things he could do or he should do after now to further refine, his learning and gain opportunities. So we are hoping that from your experience working in that similar sector, that you can, share one or two thoughts that would guide him. And again, this call would also be used as a case response to other people who would be interested in data science. And we're hoping that even though Mr. will be asking from his own personal experiences, or we ask him questions about his own personal interests, that we can find a way to also add general context to it too. So thanks so much, Mr. James, for coming on board. And Mr. Che, you could start asking your questions now. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm back again. The network is really disturbing
Okay, so Uche,
on
Uzubi
my
will ask the
end.
questions on your behalf. So you might just listen since you have sent it to them already. Then if you have more questions at the latter end, you can now ask. Right? I think that works.
Okay, that will be fine. Yes, thank you.
Zubi, we can proceed.
All right, great. So, we just sent 5 questions. Let me get to them. So the first question he asked was, okay, number one, what is the career path to becoming a professional data scientist? What are the top skills needed to become a professional data scientist?
Okay, so I'll answer the top skills first because that actually informs the career part. And I'll be answering it in two ways. I'll talk about it in terms of technicals and I'll talk about it in terms of personality. So in terms of technicals, it's the normal usual thing. You need to have at least a little knowledge about with numbers. You need to know it's as easy as knowing the units, tens, and hundreds. You need to know those numbers. You need to be able to play with numbers. You need to know aggregations like sums, cumulations, averages, percentiles. You need to understand regression. Now, that's in terms of technical skills that you require. You need to be analytic in the sense that you can calculate average over a particular period of time. For example, if you are given values of let's say 5 years and they ask you to calculate average of those values for the first 2 years, you need to know what data set you're working with, meaning that you need to know the type of data you're dealing with. You need to know how to clean your data. You need to know how to separate your data. On the latter end is the machine learning part where you need to now understand how to now like split this data for testing, for training, and for prediction. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about data science. So really, the technical skills, mathematics, basic one, and then under mathematics is just numbers, aggregations, and possibly regression. Now, what regression is knowing, okay, now you have done data analytics, you have predicted some values. You now need to be able to compare those predicted values to the actual values. That's what you call regression. And and then aside from mathematics, you have other skills like other technical skills like um, Power BI that you earlier mentioned, Tabla, MySQL, Python, and with the various libraries in Python, and you have our programming language. But the most peculiar one is actually Power BI in terms of data visualization, Python in terms of data analytics. Now, data analytics is comprised of data science, data visualization, machine learning, and computer vision. Now, we're in data analytics and data science, so you need to be very good with Power BI and Python. So those are like, so I mentioned mathematics earlier. I mentioned softwares or programs, and the third technical skill that you need to know is engineering. Though engineering is very broad, but then you need to understand that okay, the purpose of engineering is to actually the purpose of engineering is to actually get somewhere. So you cannot do something without an objective in engineering. So basically, you need to be engineered. Data analytics is not creative. It's not about being creative. You are not coming here to come and draw or paint, depending on your imagination. You are coming here to actually follow principles, and so there are guidelines and there are principles. Nobody's calling you here to come and be creative. The only time you can be creative is when you are is your approach towards it. That okay, instead of writing 20 lines of code, I can write it in 5 lines. That's being creative. Okay, and that's actually informed with knowledge and engineering background that you have. I hope that's clear and everyone can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you, Mr. James.
Okay, so I talked about technical skills. So now
Long
I'll
you
be yeah
explained.
so now I'll be going to personality. I mentioned personality earlier. So I am actually very grateful that Evolve Africa is doing something like this where people can come in and learn and to build Africa, because really the essence of Evolve Africa is to move from one bar to the fifth bar. If you notice the logo on Zubi shirts, you will understand what I'm saying. So that's the essence of, and I've always told Nzube, and I and Nzube, we actually trained in a leadership institute together, and since then I've always said one thing, that Nigeria can grow, or African can grow through tech and entrepreneurship. Like once Africa is tech inclined and entrepreneurship inclined, Africa will grow. You get so, but then we need people who are willing to drive this. So that brings me to personality as a skills that you require for data analytics, because really nowadays in all the industries, be it the economics industry, the engineering industry, medical industry, biomedical industry, everything is driven with data, and we need people that can drive it. And once those things are being driven, Africa will grow, and that's the essence of Evolve Africa. So, in terms of personality, you really need to have a self-driven skill. Like you need to be passionate about learning. Like you really must learn. Sometimes when you go to GitHub or you go to platforms and like Iroko and all of that to check out people writing codes, you'll be like, these guys are writing three lines of code that are writing 30 lines. There, just last week, I used a week to develop an algorithm, and an Indian woman came and we were having a meeting, a Zoom meeting for long 3 hours, and she did it like something I used 1 week to learn, and I feel like I am actually at that point. I felt like okay, I was not good at all. You get, so that's where learning has to come in. So I talked about passion, then learning, continuous learning. It's actually very important for data analytics, because the truth is that the data that you have itself will continue increasing and continue growing. So if your skills are not increasing and you're not growing, then really you're just stagnant. Your sum is the same, your average value is the same. The data is increasing, obviously your average value will have to increase. And if your skills are not increasing, then um, your data is going to be stagnant, your analytics is going to be bad, and you yourself, you're no longer a data analyst. So, Unzube, does that answer the first question? So, the thing about machine learning is that my first encounter with machine learning was 2017, or no, that wasn't, no. Okay, it was early 2018, yeah. It was a competition we were doing. So we were asked to use big data to come up with algorithms. So that was really my first encounter with machine learning. But I think with the invention of I would like to say invention of the lockdown and COVID-19, a lot of people decided to, so machine learning blew. Permits me to use that word. So it's actually blew and became, but now everyone is learning the same thing, in the sense that everyone is learning Power BI, Tabla, SQL, and all of that. But um, one thing that people are really not doing is practicing. Like you can learn, but if you really do not practice with real data, that's real data, like you're actually working with real data, then your learning will actually be limited to your data that you have. I always say that most times your learning is actually based on the data you have, and once you have, you will notice that sometimes once you have like real professional industry data, it might feel like okay, you don't even know what you're doing. You get that's because of what you used to learn. So one thing that you need to do to stand out is working with real data. Data is like 80% of data analytics. Once you have data, you have solved 80% of the work. You get so for Uche, I would advise you that you need to update yourself with relevant skills, like Kunzube just said, and also you need to work with real data. I don't know if you are an engineering person, if you have a background in engineering, but if you do, go and look for journals. There are journals that have lots of papers, that have lots of data. Work with this data, do predictive analysis of this data, do data analytics of this data, get values of this data. Okay, you're a student of biochemistry, but then in biochemistry, you still have data that you work with. For example, there might be titrations or whatever. I did chemistry. I can't The only thing I can remember in chemistry when it comes to data is titrations, stoichiometry, and all of those energy stuffs. You get like there are data in biochemistry. So get this data, analyze it, visualize it, like just on your own. Go and search for papers, journals, and get data, analyze them, do data analytics on it, do your PD dot aggregates, get aggregates, use pandas, use matplotlib, get everything that you can get for it, and that will actually make it better for you going forward. You know that now you're actually practicing, no longer learning, and practicing is actually made up of learning and giving solutions to problems. Yeah, so that's it.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask another question,
Yeah,
like
go
a
ahead.
follow-up question to this? Okay, to assess this kind of data, most of them, I think, are just more of, will I say, permit me to say, theoretical data. Is it possible for me to access this real data, maybe in an open source?
Okay, yeah. So
I don't know
yeah,
if I'm understood.
yeah, I do understand what you're saying. I'm currently even writing some research papers because I am currently enrolling for a PhD somewhere in University of Notre Dame. So like I understand what you're trying to say. Getting data is very difficult. I can't lie to you, especially from journals. Most times, all you just see is a small table. You won't see the full data, right? You won't see like the full data. But yeah, there are open source libraries where you can actually get data. So I will send you some links so you can actually download full papers. Like you download the paper, full papers, you get their data, you use it. I'm not telling you to get the data and publish it, you get, but just satisfy your learning. That's it. And I'm coming from the education now background to how you can further your learning or further your journey in data analytics. And for me, I think that for me, I feel like that's the easiest way when you work with real data. But another way you can do it is another way you can further your learning is by going on various platforms like Akarank, GitHub. You see people's work, you play with it, you redo it, you learn their codes, you use different approaches to what they have done. For example, if they work with if they work with Python to visualize the data, you can use Tabla to do yours and just publish yours and all of that. So that answers it. So there are two ways. Either you go from the academics background or platforms that allows you to show your skills like um Akara. I don't know why many are not coming to my mind now. GitHub. I think Show Academy has that platform. So Udemy too and all of that. Yeah. So that's it.
Okay, no problem. But I think one more question.
No problem.
Like just like he said earlier, just like Mr. Nzubi rightly asked earlier, do you think, based on my current knowledge about my SQL, Excel, Python, and Power BI, that I'm really ready to start implementing all these things? Like, should I start basic, or do I need to learn more before I go to practice everything that I've been taught?
Okay, so the thing about life is that you wouldn't know until you try. You agree with that, right? So, what Evolve Africa has taught you, trust me, is very much okay for you to go forward and learn more while practicing. So I did not say for you to go forward and practice. I said for you to go forward and learn while practicing. So they have given you everything you need to practice, and in that practice, you are going to learn more. So definitely, it's enough.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. James, for that, that insights, and thanks for offering to assist him with the links that you mentioned earlier. So, Mr. Uche, after now, you'd link up with Mr. James to get the links and to the journals and those online platforms that he will learn. So,
Okay,
um,
sir.
the question two, the question two has already been answered, I think. Okay, there's a part that have not been answered. The first part, how can I develop and apply these skills, have been answered, I think. But I think you're not referring to internships, jobs, project, or hackathon. So, um, Mr. James, do you have any insight on that, or how he can, while learning, get positions for internships, maybe a job, maybe a hackathon? Is there any platform as such that he can
Yeah,
compete for such opportunities on?
yeah. There are lots of platforms actually. Many people always ask me that why is that I've never applied for Goldman Sachs, or I've never applied for Bloomberg, or I've never applied for all these tech companies, and I always tell them that really my tech skills and actually something I do for fun. I actually I know this might come as a surprise. I really do not plan to make a solid career from tech. But for someone like you that who probably wants to use it to create a career, so yeah, apply for internships at Goldman Sachs. In fact, to tell you facts, Goldman Sachs offers Nigerians more jobs than they offer any other person in the world. Like they know Nigerians are so good at what they do that they offer Nigerians. Like it's they give them preferential treatment during interviews, during tests, and all of that. So apply for these companies, AMBN, Bloomberg. As a matter of fact, a friend I was putting through on it's not machine learning or data analytics, on software engineering. I remember I taught him how to write some web design codes. I remember, and during he told me he wanted to apply for Bloomberg, and I told him to go for it. He had enough skills, and he's resuming Bloomberg in January. Do you understand? So you, like I said earlier, you wouldn't know until you try. And I'm not telling you about trying. You can try with Nigerian companies. You can just shoot your shots with Nigerian companies, send them emails, even though they don't need jobs. But just tell them a reason why they need a data analyst in their company. Shoot them a mail, send your portfolio, send your certificates, shoot them. Like I always say that really in life you just need to shoot your shot. The guys they will tell you is not reply you, and it won't change anything from you. You get. But then I have a boss that used to say, when you shoot shots to 1,000 people, 10 people would see you as a prospect, and at least one person will reply you and give you the job. You understand? So just shoot your shots. That's in terms of Nigeria companies. Then go online, search for companies that need software engineers, that need the machine learning people. For example, I remember currently there's an internship for Netflix. Netflix has nothing to do with machine learning, but tell me now, they want to employ machine learning interns. You get, so you can just shoot your shot. Like I said earlier on, machine learning just blew. So people want data analysts and machine learning engineers in their companies. So just shoot your shots. Go online, be aware. Join groups that they share ads. Subscribe to all those platforms where they post jobs. They will send it to your email and all of that. You'll be very lucky to get one. Yeah.
Okay, no
Uh,
problem. Thank you. That's very understood.
Yeah.
thank you, Mr. James, for that. That's really helpful, especially the point where you said, you lose nothing when you try. So the
Yeah.
worst you could get is a rejection. So
Yeah.
I have a story like that from a friend who had applied to 250 companies and they all failed. Just one made a difference. And again, before you even start applying, it's good to also gauge yourself and know if you even stand a chance. So in regards to that, our advice Mr. Uche to go to those platforms you share with him later and build portfolios, like
Exactly.
build two, three, four, five portfolios, like build different data projects. You can do two different visualization, then host them on GitHub. I'm sure that when you chat Mr. James up at his free period, he'll want to always share resources with you. So where you can, like GitHub, maybe you're not comfortable with GitHub, but you should go GitHub, create an account on GitHub to, upload your projects, and you could easily share the link when you write an email and all.
Yeah.
So the key
Exactly.
word is to keep trying, to keep trying, to keep trying. Yeah, thank you so much for that, Mr. Jen. So the third question we have here is is of course, if you answer this question again, where can I find these opportunities and how do I prepare myself effectively to land them? So I think you've answered that question. He'll just message him. I think I will still share his number if you don't have it anymore. Message him the share of those like Bloomberg, Netflix, all of those things, companies he mentioned, and also those platforms you can find resources and people who have been doing it in the past. So please, Mr. Chedem, if you have his number, message him or just remind me and I will connect you again with him. So number four, I want to develop my data science skills and ultimately venture into machine learning. And my interest is in its application to the biomedical research. What's your advice for me on how to find this career path? Can I also explore other areas of specialty so as to grow my knowledge and become versatile? Or should I simply narrow? Okay, I think this is where the question is, Mr. James. Given that he's from a biomedical background, so he's asking, can he explore other areas of specialty so as to grow his knowledge and become versatile, or should he simply narrow down and hunt for opportunities in biomedical research?
Okay, so I think your
Did you get that,
question.
Mr. James?
Yeah, I did. So I think this is it, right? The question you asked actually works in both ways, in the sense that I'm very certain that you're coming from the machine learning angle. Machine learning is predicting data from data, and biomedical engineering works with lots of data in the sense that I know something about getting neural algorithms. I really do not know much about biomedical engineering. Um, Uche, do you quickly want to give us a little background on biomedical engineering?
Okay, for example, talking about biomedical sciences or engineering, with regards to, let's say, the drug development, therapeutics, pharmaceuticals, and maybe cancer research, all those kind of things. So that's basically what I'm talking about.
Okay, so now, for example, I'll give you an example with drugs that you mentioned. Let's say we are trying to cure cancer, for example, and we know that, let's say we're trying to cure
Mr.
cancer.
James, your voice seems to be a bit low.
Oh yeah,
Go ahead now, please.
I mistakenly
Continue.
removed my microphone. Sorry about that. Okay, so I was saying that,
Okay.
for example, if you are trying to cure cancer, I'm talking about biomedical engineering with relation to machine learning. Let's say I'm trying to cure cancer. I know that for the past few years, people have died from cancer because of this and that, because which is also informed with data. Through that data, I can write algorithms or develop algorithms that tells me, okay, at this point, I should be more critical with treating these people. For example, let's say we have data of 200 people, and let's say a 5 year data of 200 people that have died in the fifth year with cancer. Let's say at a point where their body starts shrinking in the third year, that means okay, it's getting worse. I can use machine learning to actually develop an algorithm that will tell me, okay, it's not actually 3 years old, it is 2 years and let's say 5 months that I should now start giving them critical treatment. That's where machine learning comes in. So, like, machine learning is computer informed, though it has been proven that it is very accurate, but at the same time, people will argue that you cannot say um, machine learning will be better than humans' interpretation. But it's actually very wrong because this data we are using were developed by humans, and we can agree that computer works faster than man. So yeah, machine learning can work in that regard. So now that's just one example with biomedical engineering and machine learning. Now another thing for research, you mentioned something about research. Now, you can even research. The funniest thing about machine learning is that you can take a topic, let's say, um, mental capability of man. I believe that that's also biomedical engineering. Let's say mental capability of man. You can take a research and do, okay, what ways can I use machine learning to improve the mental capability of man? So now you're not even saying the question is not can machine learning improve mental capability of man? Yes or no? The research is what ways can you use? So basically, I always I currently told the lower level students in the department I graduated from that they were looking for project topics during this lockdown. I told them that guy, I've done various machine learning trainings for you guys. I've done various machine learning seminars. I've given you guys sometimes I've even given them a lot of codes. I created a repository of codes that they can use for anything. I gave it to them that okay now go and go and take a particular topic in petroleum engineering. For example, how can we drill oil using this type of pump, and turn it to machine learning involvement in drillings of oil with this type of pump. That's research. At first, the beginning, you will not know what to write, but but so far you understand machine learning and you understand the subject matter. So far you understand biomedical engineering and you understand machine learning. It is a research. It is not supposed to be 100% known from the beginning. That's the essence of research. Research is That's why most PhDs are 5 years. What am I doing with PhD for 5 years? But in undergraduate level, your research, your final year research is just in your final year first and second semester. So for some schools, self just the second semester. You get That's why people really do not rate undergraduate research. But PhDs, they use 5 years to do PhDs, and I'm like, wow, is it that the first year they're only writing introduction, or the second year they're just writing abstract like for an entire 365 days? So it's actually funny, you get. So this is where research comes in and machine learning comes in. Nobody knows the answer yet until someone researches it. The reason why people know that you can use Python for machine learning, use MATLAB for machine learning, is because someone has researched the usefulness of MATLAB in machine learning. Do you understand? And when someone research, and the funniest thing about research is that research is continuous. That person that researched the usefulness of MATLAB in machine learning was not the person that created the algorithms in MATLAB. So all this tech that we have is because a research has been done on it before. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say about this. I don't know if you understand what I said.
Okay, yes, I do.
Just for that. And if I may just add to that, excuse me, if I just add to that, I will say that there's a lot of interest in health these days. You know,
Yeah,
there's a lot of research on health. For instance, the COVID-19 is a novel case around the world,
telling you
and it's still, yes, it's still very virgin for research. Like there is
exactly.
no research whatsoever. In fact, it's not even been used yet. Like even up to 1%. So it's a trend one can decide to follow and become, an authority and a voice on, as the adoption of a drug, gets, for instance, it's a process such like knowing what people think about the vaccine. Like if you go online, you see a couple of opinions. People are saying is the antichrist. People are saying is antibody. A lot of, so these are things you can get involved in, and you're doing it for the fun of it. But somehow you're building in and you're building a portfolio that people would find interesting when you start submitting your CVs or submitting your portfolios, and you're saying, look at the interesting cases I worked on, and look at what my findings and how I think this can be further developed. So I think that's what I'd like to add. And like Mr. Jones rightly mentioned earlier on, that machine learning is universal, just apart. So the same skills you can apply to um, health is the same skills you would also apply to, say, energy. It's more of the same syntax. Just kind of trying to understand what you want to achieve more about it.
Exactly, exactly.
Yes, so the question of being prototype is not does not really come to play. It's well, because when people are looking at what you've done, they are looking at what's your knowledge about this thing and how have you been able to apply it. And if you are telling them you've been able to apply it in healthcare, then they will likely say, "Okay, come and do this for us in media and entertainment, for instance." So thank you, Mr. James, for that. So we are heading to the last question, and this is a very exciting one. So he asks, if you were to learn data science and machine learning all over from the beginning, what would you do better? So if you were to, let's say you in 2017, like you mentioned, you met machine learning. If let's say we fast forward it back to that year, and you want to take that decision, what would you do better on it?
To be honest, I'll be the present. Like
Okay.
I think it's even recently I started posting stuffs about tech. Normally, I've always been about getting the grades and all of that. I've always been more of the scholar type, so I've never really been
Okay.
posting stuffs about my work. So I think what I'll do better next time is brand myself, like post stuffs, build a portfolio like you earlier mentioned. Funny say that if you check my if you ch- sometimes if you check my GitHub, you might not see a lot of stuff. I think it's just laziness or on my own part. The fact that I have things to post, but I don't know. Just going there to just go and put it is stress to me. So yeah, that's something I'll do better. I'll build that foundation where I can always update people on what I am doing right now. So yeah, that's what I'll do better. And also in terms of technical learnings, what I'll learn, because I think Uche will be interested in that. What I'll learn is um I would how would I put it? Okay, if I were to learn data science and machine learning over again, what will I do better? So I've talked about personality, branding myself, and all of that. But in terms of technical learning, I think I would practice more. Yeah, yeah, that's what I would have done. And also, and this also answers the questions about internship, jobs, and placement. I would actually apply for jobs in this role because for me it's just a skill. Until recently, that I no not too recently, sha, but like until let's say beginning of 2019 when I started really applying it in the industry. So yeah, those are the three things I would do better.
Oh, okay, great. So I can imagine that you'd wanted to be known as the data guy. Like when we think about James, we are thinking about the data guy because he puts out data often,
Exactly, exactly.
data insight and all. Yes. So Mr. Che, that's it applies to you too. So if data science is what you want to like go full into, then you want to start putting out things there. Let people begin to know that you are you are a health guy, like you are a health, that's your medicine line, but you're also very very passionate about leveraging data to scale or to improve the health sector. So you want to be putting out jobs you've done, the insights you can take your research and you post the insights on your Facebook, your Twitter. Nobody, you might get one like, two likes, but a lot of people are watching. I can tell you that most of the gigs I get are not from people who like my post on Facebook or anywhere. They're from people who say, "Oh, I saw your post 2 days ago." I'm like, "Are you kidding me, boy? I didn't even like I don't even know we are friends on Facebook for crying out loud." So you might think people are not seeing, but they actually seeing. So that's a valid point, Mr. Because I follow him on social media. I know he backs up on Messi and all of those guys more than he talks about himself, except you know him personally, and that's why you can say this guy is really good at this. So thanks for sharing that, with us, and at this point, Mr. Uche, if there's any other thing you want to ask.
Yes, I have a question. I was raising my hand.
Okay.
Okay. Regarding putting yourself out there, like on what platforms can I do that? Is it just regular social media and perhaps LinkedIn, GitHub, and those are the formal, I know, social media platforms where these kind of things can be shared. The regular social media platforms are usually not really concerned much about these things.
Well,
So I don't know your advice on this.
Uche, that's actually very wrong. To be honest, that's very wrong because I know for a fact on Twitter nowadays there's something called topics. You can decide to follow a particular topic. Let's say data science. I'm following data science. I'm following programming, and I see constant people always posting stuffs about stuffs. No matter what, no matter the space we are, there's always a niche of people with similar interests. You understand? So because there's a niche of similar people with similar interests,
Yeah.
so Twitter is actually a very good place where you can build your brand for facts. Like I can send you a screenshot of people that talk about machine learning and make jokes. So it's not like you're going there to always be serious about machine learning and all of that. It's not like you're going there to always sound technical every single time. You're going there to give insights, make jokes about it sometimes, and all of that. So I don't really use
Yeah. So
Facebook, so I wouldn't say much
that's
about Facebook.
Mr. James. If you're not done, you can continue. I thought you were done.
No, I'm done. I said I didn't really use Facebook, so I can't say much about Facebook.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. So you're very correct, especially for Twitter and also for LinkedIn. There's what we call, like you said, topics, but I think of it as a tribe. Where you have something like tech Twitter, startup Twitter, this one Twitter, this one Twitter, and when you plug into all of those things, they have a couple of topics you could follow. So when you follow those topics, whenever anybody's mentioning anything in that line, it shows on your feed, and you can contribute. So you can contribute, follow. That if there's somebody you know that is good at something, by the time you contribute like 20 times on his post, on or even though he's airing you, at some point you'll be like, who is this guy? Let me even comment, and that's how you can build that interaction. It will not happen overnight. Something you would probably build over time, and establish yourself as somebody who is knowledgeable, in that space. So thanks a lot. I usually like us to, express all the help and all the assistance you've been given to the Whole Africa since its inception, and agreeing to bring out time on a Sunday evening. I mean, come on, and giving your tight schedules. I can't quantify it in financial terms. So thanks a lot, Mr. James, for coming to this program, and hopefully this program will also be made available to Mr. Tuche. Is recorded, so you can always listen to it over and over again, and also share it to all of our data science network. And this is the impact you've you've created just by making out this time to share knowledge. A lot of people will be more informed and would learn more about how to better position themselves for career success in data science world. So thank you, Mr. James, and thank you also, Mr. Uche, for coming around.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Nzube, and thank you, Mr. James, for the time.